Welcome to the Saints of SCM's Transatlantic Tailgate, a brand new weekly show about what it's like supporting the Saints from the UK. Think late night kickoffs, dodgy buffering streams, and explaining to our wives while we're yelling at the TV at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Not this year, Dan. Not this year, my friend. We might be born in London, but our hearts are firmly in New Orleans. Each week, we'll break down the games from this side of the pond, celebrating the wins and, of course, commiserating the losses.
What losses, Mike? What losses? You might have seen us on X or Instagram. No, we're not those two foodie influencers who toured around Louisiana. We're just two middle-aged blokes who, according to our bank managers, have a slightly unhealthy obsession with flying to the US and following the Saints. That said, airlines and hotel chains, they absolutely love us.
That's posh. Hotel chains.
Hotel chains.
Anyway, so grab a drink, pull up a chair, and join us at the Transatlantic Tailgate.
The Saints, the city, and me. Two guys from across the sea. The Saints, the city, and me. Procrastinators and MKC Papa. Go down.
Anybody is watching who's never watched an episode of the Saints City Me, I suppose we sort of should introduce myself, ourselves, we-selves. I'm Mike, Mick, or
We-selves.
Michael, a middle-aged man from London who was once described as a homeless David Letterman on a New Orleans streetcar. I love my wife, my kids, my Saints, and if you know me, you know I like the odd pint of Guinness.
And I'm Dan. I'm the overexcited one. Half glass full. We're going to win a Super Bowl every season. Half of the jerk gets me in trouble sometimes because, you know, this team, sometimes, a lot of times, you know, they got me on a hook. But as Mike said, if you're here for the first time, you might know us from the Saints City Me podcast, where we've been sending audio love letters to and from the city of New Orleans and the Saints. Ultimately, we're just fans who like to talk about the Saints from a fan's perspective. We're not going to do X's and O's. We don't do deep dives. Ross Jackson's doing that over at Locked On Saints. You can check him out there. But what we really want to do is just talk football and show why this fan base, the best fan base in the whole of the NFL, extends beyond just the borders of the United States. So that's what we're doing. True that, who dat?
True that, that's the one. We've sort of been a little bit absent for a while. That was a decision that we actually made to sort of pull back for a little while. And a lot of stuff has been going on, Dan. So I suppose we should do a quick recap of the off-season. I suppose probably best to start with the draft, would you say?
Yeah, it feels a long time ago. We probably talked about it on our long form format.
Yeah.
But in terms of just recapping, as this is a season preview episode that we're doing here, obviously the big story quarterback, Shuck coming in, Derek Carr's retirement on the back of that. How do you feel about that, Mike?
The Derek Carr thing, yet again, I think we remember when we did a pod where we spent quite a lot of time talking about Derek Carr, and then the very next day he retired. So that was almost wonderful, beautiful timing. That was perfect timing. I think it was best for all round. You know, I'm not one of these guys like his on the field play is exactly what you would have expected when you brought him in to the facility. So I never really had an issue with that. Obviously, I had some of the issues with some of his attitude or his apparent attitude, might I say. But the way it sort of panned out and the fact that, you know, obviously it was beneficial from a cap perspective. In a funny way, I thought it was going to be really beneficial from a fan base, Saints, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok way.
You fool. You fool.
I know. It doesn't apparently seem to have been that way. But look, beyond Derek, obviously, because we're deep now into sort of training camp and the games are just over a week away, I think we were happy enough with the draft. I think I'm happier with the draft today than I was when I was happy a little while ago. So
Yeah, I think we said when the draft happened, there were some real foundational pieces there. It felt like they were not admitting to a reset, but it felt like a bit like a soft. I don't say a soft reset, but it was a recognition of we need to put some foundational pieces in.
yeah,
And you know, we talked about some of those players when we did that episode. Coming off the back of training camp, Sanka looks great. Stutzman looks great. Looks like he's an absolute steal at 9. no
Yeah.
pressures all off season. Well, highest rated offensive lineman in the off season. I think Quincy Riley looks good.
Ball hawk,
Uh,
isn't he?
you know,
Absolute ball hawk, that fella.
yeah, and he just looked every highlight clip I saw of him at Louisville catching the ball,
Yeah.
interception. So I feel, although we've passed the draft now, I feel very positive about this draft class. Really
Yeah.
positive about this draft class, actually.
Yeah.
What about free
Yeah. And
agency?
even,
How do you feel about free
but,
agency?
but just quickly going back to the draft, because obviously one of the problems, like, I think apart from Diggs, isn't it? Everybody made the roster, and he's
Everyone
gone
but
on.
Fidel Diggs might get, yeah.
Yeah,
He-
and
yeah.
he's gone on the practice squad, hasn't he? Which in itself is great. The one thing I was pleased about, because we never got to see him, and obviously there were mixed reviews, I think, in training camp about him, because obviously I think he was also coming off an injury. Is Devon Neal, which the one opportunity we got to see him, there was no bones or arguments that he made the roster, because literally, even though he didn't do massive amounts, whenever he was in and around the ball, something did happen, but you felt actually there was far more to come. That was obviously his first proper football in absolute months. So obviously when he's a little bit more sort of connected to the game in the sense of physically, so I think based on that, and look, some people might say, well, that's because your team's not very good. That's why you've been able to retain 8 of the 9 in your roster. But I don't view it as like that. We've instantly got a lot younger, and as you said, foundational pieces, which
Yeah.
I think is great moving forward.
So I think the average age of the roster is about just over 26 years old, which I think that's come down a fair bit on last year. I think we're the ninth youngest team in the league now, maybe. I might have that wrong, but I think it's somewhere around that ballpark. So we've improved considerably. About free agency, obviously that happened before the draft, but if we look at free agency in the scheme of from free agency starting to now, because we did
Yeah.
sign some free agents during training camp, I think
Yeah.
made some decent moves there. They haven't pushed the purse too much.
No, obviously, I think the big one is obviously Justin Reed, which yet again, having been through training camp and having heard all the reports coming out, seems like a fantastic move. Obviously, if you've watched any of his interviews, the guy is obviously is it Stanford? Was that where he was? I can't remember. Was that where he was?
Let me tell you, because I have that
No,
information to hand. What's his squad? Why would I put this in squad number order? That's no good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Stanford. Yeah.
Is it, or are you just guessing it like I did?
Let me say yeah until I can't find him on here. Oh no, I'm pretty sure it's Stanford. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pretty
Okay.
sure.
But yeah, so him, even the way he comes across, but obviously the way that everybody talks about him has been, sort of a joy thing to see, especially having lost, the honey badger, who yet again from a locker room perspective was always huge, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I'm a big. One of my favourite things in any sport is hometown players and an underdog story, right? And Taron, hometown player, love him. Foster Moreau, hometown player, love him. Justin Reed, hometown player, I'm sure I'm going to love him. A player who's from near New Orleans, from Louisiana, Devin Goshow. I think he's going to be an absolute game changer to this defensive line.
Yeah.
He's one of the best run-stopping nose tackles in the league the last couple of years, and I think we needed that massively. I think that's I know it was a trade because they was worried about him hitting the free open market, but I think it's a great move. A real move to address an area where the team has struggled consistently over a couple of years.
And also that it was an indication of the route they were taking, wasn't it? It was like, we are looking to the trenches. That's what we're going to build up. We're going to build backwards. That's
inside
how
out.
felt. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good. I mean, obviously you've got, the other players you get, like Brandon Cooks has come in. You haven't really heard much from a on-field perspective. But off-field perspective, yet again, people obviously, I know he originally left the team in not the greatest circumstances, but I've not heard anybody without glowing praise for him as a leader and a man. So yet again, for a group of wideouts who are it's a really pretty young group. Yeah, even though you've got guys in there who've got NFL experience, it's still a really, young group. Which you need somebody like Brandon in there to give them a bit of guidance. And
Although Brandon have a little fisticuffs at training camp, over in
but hey, look,
Irvine.
I'm sure the Pope's had fisticuffs in the past.
Well,
even the nice
but-
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was in Chicago.
I was going to say, and his
I guess-
family from New Orleans originally, somewhere
Exactly.
down the line.
You have to learn to survive.
Yeah, I was going to say the other. I think what's going to be a key pickup is Blackman at safety after Honey Badger retired.
Yeah.
I know it's a two new tandem back there, but I think he's loads of picks in training camp. Our friend G been banging a drum for the Saints to pick him up for a couple of years now. Obviously, he's played in Utah and where G's from. I think it's going to be a good pickup. I think there's some experience there back at safety to try and bring along as younger players, especially Jonas Sanko. I think looks like he's going to be a dog, an absolute dog.
He looks like he has the opportunity to maybe be a baller. And yet again, as you're saying about him, another man whose intelligence bursts through the screen whenever you hear him talk. The one thing I think they've done, and maybe it's a thing, and we can obviously touch on Kellen and his coaching staff, is that I think they've looked at personality and that sort of guidance. There seems to be a lot of people in there that you can look towards as leaders who are all new to the Saints. Obviously, we know we've got fantastic leaders in there already, but obviously we've lost a few over the last couple of years. So it's great to see.
That's key to the fact. Going back to that point about foundation, right? It's bringing in future leaders. Like Stutzman looks like he's going to be a future leader. You look at Jonas Sanko looks like he's going to be a future leader. You're getting those bits in place for when we thought Honey Badger, we may have another year with him. We know DeMario is at the back end of his career. There's no two ways about that. Even though he still performs at a phenomenal level, you have to plan for this as a team. We probably historically haven't really planned for some big exits. And when I say big exits, I'm talking about Drew Brees and Thomas Morstead, because we've it's a revolving door at quarterback and punter for us the last 5 years.
Yeah, just a bit.
But I thought the vibes at training camp impeccable vibes.
Yeah, another thing that I'm one of those ghoulish people. I watch every single person who's interviewed at pressers, and again, it like just the thing that they all touched on, and again, it's they were saying just the way that it feels to be in training. Obviously, the way that Kellen's setting up training camp obviously has got them all gushing with love, because obviously they all really appreciate the way that he's looking after them as players. But the vibes, it was the vibes that everybody was talking about, the vibes and how good it felt to be out there. And, to be honest, if you want, we know it might be a difficult season, but at least that the guys are going to pull for one another because they're invested not only in themselves as players, but in their coaching team as well.
Yeah. And that didn't always come through, I think, the last couple of years, because you saw what happened after coaches exited. The comments that Cam Jordan's made around Todd Grantham and things like that. And I think it came through. But you and I, we talked about this. The DeMario interview with Kay Adams, gushing praise for Kellen Moore. Ted Raff was getting. He was like, this guy Ted Raff. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's making me feel 10 years younger. It's just putting the right pieces in there, youthful management. And I think, we've touched on this before, like bringing some of these college coaches in who are used to coaching younger players and are on a bit more of a wavelength with them. I think it's really important. It's really, really important.
Yeah. Which obviously,
these guys ain't just...
hindsight, sorry, Dad, I was going to say in hindsight, looking back, because whether it's by hook or by crook, they have got a lot younger. And as you're saying, the way that they approached the coaching decisions makes you feel that it was by hook, in the fact that they were thinking we need guys who can relate to younger players because we are going to get younger. So again, I think it's, if as you said, intentional now, and feels like there's a plan. Things may not go the way you want it this year, but foundational, putting best practice, all the good things that you need to formulate something going forward.
Yeah, and that nil money changes players, right? So you got to be prepared to them players to come in with a slightly different mindset, because they aren't it's not the same process. Anyway, moving on. Preseason games, we finished 0-1-2. Probably could have been a 1-2 because I think they should have given us that kick against the Jags.
Yeah.
There were some exciting moments. We talked about that hit by Isaiah Stolberg.
Yeah.
The Jags game and the Broncos game, we some good picks. We see some picks, good interceptions, some great play from the younger players. Christian Boyd looking good, at getting a couple of sacks. I think, whilst the results, I think a lot of people looked at it and went, not scoring the points. The quarterbacks don't look explosive. We all know that preseason, it's a standard playbook, very vanilla. I was going to touch on the QB battle. I thought that having listened to the context of the interviews now, I felt that Spencer Rattler was playing within himself a little bit, like he didn't want to lose the job. But it sounds like, listening to Kellen Moore, that was almost intentional to show that he could be disciplined. He could take
decision
the
making,
options
the right.
Show some maturity.
Those were the things that I think not that saying that Spencer knew it, but that's what Kellen was looking for. Coach Moore was looking for. He wanted to see that he was making the right decisions, not being erratic in his thinking, and sticking to a plan, taking what was there rather than pushing it. And, Shuck had to push it, I suppose, a little bit. But, to be fair, when you look at their stats, literally, you might as well put one in front of the others in a mirror because they were virtually the same, weren't they?
Very. So that suggests to me that was a bit of play calling, that a bit by design, that they were, similar sort of statistics. Obviously, Shuck absolutely aired out that touchdown, which to the surprise of a lot of the local writers, because they said they hadn't seen him throw a ball that far in all the training camp to that point.
No. But then also, again, Spencer's final drive, getting us to 17 apiece. They all had highlights. They had a couple of lowlights, as you're saying. Maybe Spencer was playing within himself. The bottom line is, and yet again, and this is where I was touching on before about Derek Carr leaving, and hopefully everything will be all good. You've literally gone into a different type of split, which is you're either Team Shuck or you're Team Rattler. I don't give a crap. Spencer's got the job. Go and make it your job now. Go out there and play your ass off and do it. Even if we don't have a great season, just, for him, obviously a hugely talented kid in college and, came through adversity as both the QBs have. But good luck to him. Good luck to him. He's won the job. I just wish people would just get off their own little tracks and just get on board. Almost like the Saints track, just forget about all the crap that, all the bad mouthing. It's like a boxing match, isn't it? It's almost like, before the fight, they're all giving it that and they're pushing each other and they're bad mouthing and all this sort of thing. They have a fight and at the end of it, they shake each other's hand. They give each other a cuddle. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be. It feels like Saints fandom has changed forever. But,
Do you know what? I know I can't remember who said it, which football manager said it, but they said you play for the badge on the shirt, not the name on the back of the shirt. And I think there's probably some fans who could take heed to that and say, do you know what? I support the logo on the helmet, not the name plate on the back of the shirt, right? Because you get into a point. This I sound like I'm on a soapbox, right? Adage around, just because your voice reaches halfway around the world doesn't mean it's any more valuable than when it reached halfway around to the end of the bar. And you could say that to me and you doing a podcast, right?
Yeah,
it is what it is. But I think people feel because there's a platform now, they have to amplify their views and we all do it. Yeah, we do it with our friends. We wind them up. We'll play off the Rattler camp versus the Shuck camp.
Yeah,
we're friends, and it's just jovial. Yeah. But I think it could be win-win, right? If Rattler comes in and looks okay, looks serviceable, but the plan is to bring Shuck in later down the season, you've got potential. You could trade Rattler for decent picks. If he comes in and looks fantastic, well, do you know what? You've got two quarterbacks. One's on a second-round rookie contract. The other one's on a fifth-round rookie contract. Cheat code. And that's how you rebuild, right?
Yeah. And look, if they both look crap, we're in a position to go and look at another QB. So, It's like,
And probably, and if they're bad though, Mike, if they're both bad, that's going to be a top
Mm.
QB in next year's draft as well, right? There's no two ways about it. If they're both bad,
yeah, exactly.
you're picking in top
It's,
three.
yeah, it's a win-win. And yet again, with the new coaching staff, with the new philosophies, both on offense and defense, let's just have a little bit of fun. And if we're losing games bloody 42-37, but we're looking pretty decent, but there are a few things that we obviously need to work on. You need to go out in the draft next year and get a couple of pieces because that's not working. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And yet again, I think we've done it. We allude to the Lions a couple of years ago. That's exactly what they were doing. They were keeping themselves within games, but they were losing virtually every game. Those are the building blocks. Those are the, you just got to have those building blocks, and hopefully the draft and free agency, has sort of got us there.
One thing I will say, just on that before we move on to our preview of the season, if they are in a position next year where they are looking like they're picking bottom three, they are going to, and if there's a QB they want, whether it's Arch or Nussmeier or one of the other guys, they are going to have to, I don't advocate tanking, right, but you're going to have to pull your starters for the last few games of the season because the Browns have got 2 first-round picks next year. The Cowboys have got 2 first-round picks next year. They've got ammunition if you don't finish in the top, if you don't finish number one, to get above, to get to number one.
Yeah.
That's, I hope we're not in that position, right? And my season prediction would suggest we won't be on wins and losses, but
I looked at doing a season prediction, but the thing about it is that I haven't really. It would be more based on a gut feel, which yours is,
mate,
of course.
it's pure vibes. Mine is vibes.
No, Mark, because yet again, haven't got a clue. Literally haven't got a clue. And also, that's yet again the one thing you could say about the QB battle is that it's left us slightly behind the track as far as the guy now in possession of the jersey probably has to work a little bit harder because he didn't get as many reps as he ought to. And obviously they will be a little bit scheme specific, I think, to whoever is the quarterback. And yeah, just so many new fresh faces who I'm excited about, but I haven't got a clue how we're going to play. I mean, going back, so we can do. I'll do it anyway. We'll go for it, and I'll give you my opinions.
I'll give you mine now. I've got us
Right.
going 8 and 9.
Okay,
8 and 9.
fine.
That's
That's more
conservative for me.
positive. That's more positive than most people, but conservative by your standards.
I could have pushed that number higher. There was a couple, and I was like, because
I know you
I've
could.
said this before, right? I'll sit there and go, yeah, but what if this happens? What if Josh Allen gets hurt in the first series, and all of a sudden they've got to bring their back? You don't know in football, right? Things could change.
Yeah, I've got in a number of fantasy teams, Dan. Can you leave that one alone? Don't put that voodoo on it. No, okay. Yeah.
I'm not having it.
We're going to that game.
We're going to that game. I'm not having it that we lose at all to the Panthers. So I'm taking 2 wins there. We beat the Falcons at home and we beat the Jets.
Okay. I hope.
But I could talk myself into beating the
actually,
49ers as well.
in a weird way,
And the
I hope
Patriots.
you're right. I hope you're right, and I hope you're wrong, because at the moment, with the feelings around the team, like 8 and 9 would be to most people, and even with the national media over there.
It's a disaster.
I mean, I think we both watched it, didn't we? With the just watched a little bit of a Saints Cardinals preview, just to get a little bit of information on what sort of the outside world is thinking about the Saints. And at the end of that, they had the pick 'em with 10 people, and it was 9-1 to the Cardinals. So yet again,
Yeah, Adam Rank was the only one.
yeah, and all of the stuff that's coming out on the national media is literally, I mean, that one that came out the other day about what was it, the star player, or I can't remember what was it, Rising Star or whatever.
That was in a face of the
And
franchise.
everybody had one, and we didn't have one. And yet again, it's like, and you looking at, and it was like Justin Fields was in there, and it was like, I'm sorry, he's not. I know obviously a lot of people are feeling quite good about him this year.
He's not Sauce Gardner, and he's not Garrett Wilson, so he's not the face of the franchise.
And I've taken a punt on him and a couple of best balls and whatnot just in case. But he ain't the face of the franchise. I mean, the guy's not really been a starter since he came out. I mean, when he got benched. And then, obviously last year he looked okay, but didn't look like a world. And then how can the Saints not have a face of the franchise. And you know, even if it was AK, who was on course last year to have his best rushing year, you know, I mean, AK was the face of the NFL for about 2 or 3 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It was like,
It was him and McCaffrey.
yeah,
Him and McCaffrey going
yeah,
toe to
yeah,
toe. But I could easily see us beating the Patriots as well.
yeah.
So you know,
They might be. I think they might be okay, because obviously, if the QB is the QB that they think he is, you know, I think, you know, the coach they've got in is a really, really great coach.
that's why
Isn't
I've
he? And I
gone.
think,
That's why I've gone with them, because if Vrabel, I think
yeah,
good coach.
yeah, I think they might. Well, they're obviously. I think they'll be better than they were last year, because it would be difficult to be much worse, wouldn't it?
Although they've binned off loads of wide receivers, so God knows what they're doing
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
room.
yeah.
But in terms of the Cardinals game, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Funnily enough, I think there's a point where it's transition for both, because I was looking at some of the stats. Now, so if you look at them, their weapons, and yet again, kryptonite for the Saints, especially based on the last couple of years, because our run defense has been awful. You know, I think was it first last year? Obviously, we know that they've looked to absolutely cement that and make that not the issue it's been for the last couple of years. But also, you know, from the Cardinals' point of view, their run defense wasn't great. Their pass rush wasn't great, but they've been in free agency and tried to sort
Yeah,
that
they've
out
got
with picking up.
five new players, 5 new starters
Yeah,
on defense. They've got, I think.
yeah, and it's like, I think they picked up a 72-year-old Calais Campbell, and you know, Josh Sweat, and
Do you know?
so
Do you know Calais Campbell? Right, he's been in the league so long. He probably tackled Juice McAllister when he was at the Saints.
yeah,
But literally, Calais Campbell played in the 2010 divisional game for the Cardinals against the
yeah,
Saints in the Superdome. That's how long he's been in
yeah.
the league.
Oh,
Nuts.
but to be fair
Nuts.
to him, you know, he's still getting to the, you know, well, I think last year he probably got to the QB more than any of the Saints pass rushers did. So he's still doing a job.
Well,
I
yeah,
actually
this
think that's
O-line, we
true.
got
I'm sure last year he might have had something like, you know,
Brazil had 7.5
right.
sacks last year.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I'm talking edge rushing.
Hey.
I'm sure he had more, I'm sure he had more than any of our boys.
Hold
But
up, I thought Calais Campbell was a DT. Or was he on the edge? I don't know. That depends what
he's
if
on
they're
the
playing a
edge.
3-4. I suppose he is on the edge as a DT, isn't he?
Yeah, but what was I going to say? Yeah, Kyler Murray scrambling around. Yet again, we saw it in pre-season. I don't, you know, nobody has implemented their full defense, and I'm sure Staley hadn't, but it was still an issue, wasn't it, for us? You know, and he got over.
Do you know what I hear? When I see Kyler Murray scramble, it reminds me of, you seen that video on Instagram where the kid steals they got their parents' phone, and then the parent goes, "Give me my phone back," and the kid runs off, and you can hear him giggling.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine Kyler Murray does when he scrambles, just giggles as all these like guys about 6 foot taller than him try and catch him. He's like,
So again, that he got over 500 yards rushing, so that may be an issue. Obviously, you've got James Conner there, who I think, his last couple of years he's been over 1,000 yards, hasn't he? And he had that. I think he had one year where he got, wasn't it something like 14 or 15 touchdowns? So yeah, if they've shored that
he's
up,
looked good since he's been there. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, if they've shored that up, which I think we have, obviously you might be taking away that threat. And I'm not sure that they've got the greatest threat in the air. I know, obviously, they've got Trey McBride.
Trey McBride, and we've struggled against top tight ends the last couple of years. Like Hockenson pulled us apart, and Dallas Goedert has done us. I think some of these additions we've made in the off season, I think they will help with that. You know, Sanka and Stutzman as rookies, they're going to smash him. They're not going to come downhill fast, and they will attack him.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. does not scare me. Now, that might be inflammatory to some people, but he hasn't done anything in the league yet that makes me think he's a superstar.
No, and again, it was a rookie year for him. He got, what was he got over 800 yards. I don't think he got I don't know how many touchdowns he got, but
3 or 4 touchdowns, I think.
no, I think actually, I think it was more that it might have been 7 or 8.
Okay.
I think because he's quite a big body guy, isn't he? So he's
Yeah.
probably there. So you've got those two guys. I don't think there's too much else behind them. But then, as you're saying about Marvin Harrison Jr., it's like obviously that was his rookie year. You know, especially where he was picked, I think people were slightly disappointed with him. You know, and then you sort of think, and yet again, it's, you know, I know obviously he has to prove his health and, you know, has to try and be consistent. But you look at Chris Olave, and I think, you know, his first year was much more impressive, I think, than Marvin Harrison's.
Yeah.
His second year was probably
Yeah, he
much
was
more impressive.
him and
And I think
Garrett
James
Wilson
as
were
well.
toe to toe that first year, weren't they?
Yeah, the first couple of years, I think they were. So, yeah, we don't. Yet again, Kyler Murray scrambling around like a poodle might that might be a little bit of a
Poodle.
cause. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so I don't get people coming out with the 9-to-1s and all those picks and stuff. I don't necessarily see that. But yet again, we have no clue what the Saints are going to look like. I mean, yes,
I think
we
we
can go
could
back
be
to last year.
dark horse. I think we could
Well,
be a dark
that's
horse.
what we thought after 2 games last year, Daniel Harper. Those are halcyon days.
Listen, I am very excited about Brandon Staley's defense. I think it is going to be a sleeper defense. I really do. I think he's going to. I think the switch up to 3-4 is works at our benefit to some of our players on the trenches. I really, really think they're going to surprise some people this year. This defense, I really do.
Yeah,
But not too much that people want to take you for a head coach next year.
No, yeah, exactly. But also, and yet again, we talk about the players and how positive they've sounded, you know, at training camp, and yet again, all the guys who are, you know, who are going to be rushing the QB. They've all been so enthusiastic. You know, even the DTs have been enthusiastic about the fact that he's allowing them to sort of make their own decisions, you know, be more flexible in the way that they actually approach rushing the passer and rush it. Yeah. So we'll have to see. But I mean, yeah, again, brand new coach, a lot of changes in the roster. A lot of it I'm pretty excited. I mean, you know, we could go so of all of the sort of the position groups, if I went through them and said just a position group, just tell me how you feel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. QB.
Or what? We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. All right. Running back.
Good. I feel good about running backs. I think seeing Devon
Yeah.
Hill, seeing Kendre Miller look better, seeing the juice
stay
from
fit,
Velus
Andre.
Jones, just stay healthy. I feel
Yeah.
better about that group than I did last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you say, Velus Jones, who knows? God, I mean, Jesus, that guy's got a lick of pace to him, hasn't he? All right, wide receiver.
I feel better now with the bringing in the guy from Denver, Vele.
Devon Vele. Yeah.
Devon Vele. I know people not happy with the trade as such, but I think it was a player we needed, and he looks pretty decent on the highlights. Trey Palmer looks like he could be a good addition to the team. Again, Louisiana native, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Right, so the O-line.
4 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, if they
Yeah.
all start. Based on their draft positions, they have the potential to let you down. But if they live up to their draft positions, could be one of the strengths of the team.
Yeah.
See, I'm talking you up.
absolutely.
I'm talking you up.
Yeah, no. I don't need to be. I'm not like, oh my God, it's going to be. Oh my God, I have no idea what it's going to be. That's where I am. I'm not, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited because it's a new coach, a new coaching team, lots of new fresh faces. There feels like there's a real buzz within the group of players, and that makes me happy. You know, you're not sitting there for someone to say something in a presser and then it's like a veiled comment where people are then dissecting it. There's been none of that. You couldn't dissect anything from one of the pressers that any of the players have said because they've been forthright in saying, I'm loving it. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited because, yeah, we haven't got a clue what it's going to be like. Praising, Kellen Moore's, the way he's going to set the team up. So I'm genuinely excited. I just haven't got a clue what it's going to look like. And that's got nothing to do with the QBs or whatever. I just have no idea. All right, going back to, so should we go interior D-line? Because obviously, I suppose we have to look at it slightly separately now, don't we?
Well, you missed off tight ends from an offense point of view.
Well, all
But
right. That's
my view on that is a bit thin on the ground. Bit thin on the ground there. I need to see my boy Foster come back. Foster
yeah. I mean,
is my guy.
the thing about it at the moment, we've only really got two, haven't we, on the active roster? So, and one
One's
of
a
them is
rookie. We know about rookie tight ends.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, yet again, you look at it at the moment, you're like, man, but then obviously you can look at it maybe in, I don't know, maybe in 6 weeks. And then if Foster's back and Taysom's back, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, right, okay. So
Changes
that might
the
feel a little bit better.
shape of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, it feel, especially with, and the weird thing about Juwan is that he has these periods of 4 games where you know, and they're always in clutches, aren't they? He has a period of 4 games where it's like, oh, now I can see it. But then, you know, obviously excluding injuries, then there'll be periods of 4 or 5 games where it's like, well, we don't see it anymore. You just got to be consistent, and you know, hopefully he will be. All right, sorry. Where was I before you rudely interrupted?
D-line in.
Yeah, the interior.
I feel good. Right. So my sleeper player for this season, maybe not a sleeper based on last year, but is my sleeper player to really launch on this year is Brian Brzee. I think this setup,
Okay.
3 at the front, I think is going to Godshall eating up the run game when, you know, frees him up to, you know, Brzee's really good at rushing the passer, and I think they could, you know, they could thrive. I don't know who's going to be on the other side, of whether it'll be Cam or Nathan Shepherd or whoever.
Yeah, again, it'll probably be rotational, won't it? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
that's probably the way they're going to do it. All right. What about the edge?
Well, I'm glad Foskey's gone because he needs a change of scene.
Yeah,
We've got the
For
highest
and
drafted.
for him.
Yeah, the highest drafted player on this team is Chase Young, as a number 2 pick. I think Cam, his experience, Granderson, he's dropped a few pounds, going to be fast, they're going to be aggressive. You know, I think it's a decent group. I would have liked seen Diggs make it, but you know, you've got
Yeah,
Chris Rump looked good in preseason.
yeah,
Some other players in that group looked pretty good. So I think it's a decent group to work with.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Game. We'll have to wait and see. Linebacker.
Best group in the team. Best group on the team.
Would you not argue safety
Yes.
is?
No, linebacker is the strongest room in the team. I think.
Okay.
I think when you look at the players who've got there, Cam, Demario is Demario, right? He's a superstar. Werner is a very good player, especially in the run game, and I think people don't give him the credit for that. And then you look at the young juice you've got there with Stolberg, Stutzman. Who else did they keep? Jalen Ford looked good. Yeah, Jalen Ford obviously came drafted with a lot of hope around him as a player. Spent a lot of last year injured, a lot of time on special teams. I think that linebacker room could be one of the out and out strengths of this team this year.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, I probably would have gone with safety, but
I'm excited about linebackers. I really am.
yeah, good. And that's great to hear. You know, that, yeah, again, it's during training camp and in game, a lot of them did some impressive stuff. And you can't ask anything more than that. You know, you just need them to stack days and get better, and, you know, and when the opportunity comes, take it. Because obviously, yeah, again, one of these guys is fighting to be DeMario's replacement in the next couple of years. No, I know DeMario wants to probably play for another 4 or 5 years, and I'm sure he probably can. But I suppose that's why
if he plays as long as he wants to, he's probably looking at Junior Seau's record for appearances if he can play for that time. Which, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
No, absolutely. If you feel you can do it, absolutely crack on. And if you're still doing it at a high level, I mean, even if people think he's taking a step back, his level is still better than most players in that position. So yeah, cornerback.
I like the room, but I'm not super high on it. Right, it's a bit unknown.
Yeah.
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
Like, I think Alontae Taylor
is very young and inexperienced, really. Apart from you know, probably, I
Like
don't know, one player.
Alonte's got the chance to really kick on this year, like similar to what I
Yeah.
said about Brazil, right? Make a real star for himself in this league, playing in that nickel star, whatever you want to call it, position. I don't think you play him
Yeah.
outside. I think, Kool-Aid McKinstry should have been a first-round pick if he hadn't got injured. He's a played under Saban at Bama. There's pedigree there, and I think outside of that, I talked about Riley earlier. I think he's a ball hawk. I think the other guys
Yeah.
are a little bit journeyman. Where we've got
Yeah.
like Yadam in there and Wright.
Pretty
They fill a
dependable.
part. Yeah, they do a job when they're coming in.
And I think Staley's a big fan of his, isn't he? He's had him
Yeah,
before.
he had him at the 49ers.
Yeah, I just think he obviously, when you appreciate a player when you know what it is they offer you, because obviously he's not an out and out star. He's travelled around a bit, but he's still in the league. He's probably 7 or 8 years in the league. So yeah, fair play. And last safety.
Well, they've only got 3 safeties listed as safeties on the actual roster, right?
Yeah.
3. No, I think Jordan Howden is listed as a DB. So Sanka, Blackman, and Reed are the only ones who are listed as safety on the roster. I think that's it's a good room. I think we've always
Isn't JT in there as well? I know, obviously.
Yeah, they list him as a DB.
Yeah. All right. I thought he was listed as a safety. But anyway,
no, he's listed as
again,
DB.
you've got probably a couple of players who they're looking can be, maybe a bit flexible about the positions that they can cover rather than play. Yeah. All right. We could go special teams, but I can't be bothered. Is that wrong with me?
No, it's fine. I think the question I was going for you is, what does success look like this year, right? Is it wins and losses? Is it something else?
No, I think I touched on it before. It's like, again, if I'm thinking it from a personal point of view, I just want to see a bit of joy and progression. I want to see players, young players especially, go up and show out a little bit. Obviously at the moment we're looking at, even if you wanted to question the quality of our roster, the one thing you wouldn't question, but you could actually sort of underline is that actually it's now looking like a fairly young roster. So that means I want those young players to sort of, as I said, step up and show out. So if I see that and we look like there is a method to what we're doing, but we're just not getting there, whether that be because, maybe the QB play who, isn't up there, but you can see that the ideas are there and that you can see that there is an excitement, but also the players are absolutely 100% playing for their coach. That would be great. I don't want to win just 3 games because I want the Saints to win every game, but you also have to be a realist and we're not going to win every game. And until the first couple of games, we will really have
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Sorry, Dan.
Blasphemy.
Sorry, Dan. I know. I know I've gone against every principle within your body, but genuinely, I'm excited, really excited for the season. Really am, because I just can't wait to see what a season looks like without the hangover of Sean Payton.
Yeah. Do you not think not knowing what they're going to be adds to the excitement? Because they could be.
Absolutely.
It's the possibility, the hope of what they could be. They could be something more than we ever thought they were going to be this year. They might be completely garbage, but I don't think they will.
But that's where I'm saying, like, if the young players are stepping up and playing up, who knows what they could be doing? You know what I mean? I'm including the QBs in there. I'm including the cornerbacks in there, the new safeties, the Chris Rump. I know he's not a young guy. He's been in the league. But, if you see something happening, who knows where it could go? But, we don't know where it's going to go. It brand new, a team that's getting younger. That's exciting in itself. You know what I mean? We know it from over here with football, with soccer over here. When you see a team that's sort of got a load of, you look at PSG, who won the Champions League, full of young, talented players. That's exciting when they're young and talented and they show up. So yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to. I can't wait for the season. Because I just feel excited about everything to do with what's going to be on the pitch. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Right. We said we was only going to do 27 minutes and we're at
Yeah.
40 something in a minute.
Oh, really? That's brilliant.
Yes, well, yeah. Maybe we should repitch ourselves to being longer.
Well, what do we call it? Was it, I'm trying to remember what it was. The sleeper, the stealth player. Yeah, mine, I'm going to go for Devon Vela. I think.
Okay, nice. Love that.
I think because obviously I know he's big body, but obviously a rookie last year that came in, I don't think he played all the games, but he got over 500 yards. So that would have translated to, was he a fourth round pick last year?
He's a 7th round pick.
Well, he was, if he's,
we gave him a fourth.
Yeah, no. But then, and yet again, I know there was a lot of people online saying, what the bloody hell are we doing? But the bottom line is, as a rookie, obviously he missed a couple of games, but he was on track to go around about 7.5, 800 yards for a rookie who was taking. Yeah, I'll take that. Let's go and have a look at. Well, I think we've seen the list of our fourth rounders over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Now, I'll happily give a pick in the fourth for a guy who's actually shown up on the field.
Listen, we was all banging a drum about A.T. Perry a couple of years ago as the 7th round pick. And if A.T. Perry had done what Vela did at the Broncos, we wouldn't even have to get Vela. But A.T. Perry couldn't do it.
But and also, everybody would have been high-fiving themselves, saying, what a great pick.
Yeah.
So,
and
again, exactly. And we've got him on a rookie contract. Let's just pretend that we picked him last year in the fourth, and hopefully that'll make people feel a bit better about himself.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Like Spencer Rattler blows up. Just pretend he was the 40th pick, and Shuck was the pick in the 5th round. It's all swings and roundabouts. It's just moving the money around. It's like a balance sheet exercise.
There you
Put
go.
it on the other ledger. Anyway, right. So we're gonna wrap it up. So in terms of going forward this season, we're still gonna do long form episodes that we've become known for. If you call notoriety or those half a dozen people listen.
Yeah.
But what we're going to be doing is every Monday we're gonna get together and we're gonna talk about the game that just happened, do a preview for the upcoming game. We're gonna still have guests on. We're still gonna have people talk from try and get people from around the international NFL scene, fans come on. We're gonna try and so we do Zoom parties on a Sunday with our buddies to watch the games, and we're going to try and record those and maybe intersplice some of the clips to see if we can guess what play it got the best reaction, or maybe the play that surprisingly got a better reaction. And maybe what we'll do is me and Michael we'll pick those alternate each week and get the other one to guess if we can remember which one it was, because we'll probably have a couple of slurps while we're watching the game, so we probably won't remember much.
Maybe.
So the fan reaction.
Well, funny enough, where are you watching the game next week, Dan?
I am watching at Tottenham Stadium because I'm going to see Post Malone.
Nice.
Yeah, where are you watching it? Somewhere sunny, I imagine.
I'm in Greece, so yeah, I'll be watching it, hoping that it's very much like last year when I was in Greece watching the Saints game when it was the Dallas game. That was one of my favourite Saints memories that I've had in a long, long time. So yeah, that's where I'll be. I'll be in Greece. But we'll still record the pod. I'll still do it on the balcony, hungover the next day.
With the sun shining on you, you'll be loving it. Okay,
indeed,
so with that, we're gonna wrap it up. We hope you've enjoyed this first new iteration of what we're doing. Everyone's always welcome to stop by the tailgate. Who dat?